NBA tip-off Thursday edition. We are live 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific, as we are every Monday through Friday here on WagerTalk TV. NBA tip-off 3 Eastern, noon Pacific, Monday through Friday. And we're getting ever so closer to the NBA playoffs, which means these final regular season bubble games are ever so meaningless, as we've been saying all week. I'll bring in the usual suspects here. I've got Teddy Covers, Tony Finn, Ski Profit with me. And Teddy, I'll start with you. What were your thoughts about Wednesday overall? Anything jump out at you?
Well, I mean, I only had the one play on the Clippers yesterday. I was kicking myself a little bit for not taking Indiana, but so be it. The Pacers were sitting too many guys, and I talked myself out of it. And I was kicking myself for taking the Clippers for about the first 42 minutes of that game. But what ended up happening, what I thought was going to happen, happened, where it was finally Clippers starters versus Nuggets reserves. LA went on the run. They win and cover the game, and it was all well. But that's the kind of situation you've been keeping bringing up the NFL preseason, like the comparisons. And that's exactly what we look for in the NFL preseason. We're like, okay, when are the starters? Whether this group of starters is going to be going against that group of backups? We got that last night with the Clippers and the Nuggets, and it worked out very well for the clients and I. Yeah, and I mean, that's been the analogy I've used now for several weeks. You know, I handicap, we don't have the NFL preseason. Instead, they gave us the NBA bubble season, and I've been using a lot of the same things. I passed yesterday for the first time in a while, 9-3 NBA restart for me, but I took a pass yesterday. I do have a play today. Teddy, you got anything at Wager Talk here for Thursday? Oh, yeah. I got a 5%er going tonight as part of a two-play package. Both games we'll talk about. Cool. Tony Finn, how'd you do yesterday and what you're looking at for Thursday?
I forgot about yesterday already.
It's not a bad thing.
That's what we losers do. We forget very quickly.
In this industry, a short-term memory is not a bad thing when it comes to wins and losses sometimes.
Here's what I had yesterday. I really liked the card. I think I expressed that on the show on a couple of games that I basically gave away. I loved Miami, and I just told Teddy off air before we came on. I said, you know, if you read my analysis, I was spot that F on that game until about 6 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, when Howdy Doody and Gilligan were nailing 3-pointers from that just part of. Let's be accountable. Part of that is that I assessed two games wrong yesterday. One of them was Teddy's winner. I didn't believe that in this preseason game that the Clippers really cared about winning, but they did what good teams do, and when games are close, they rallied the forces, they huddled up, and they put a beat down on a Denver team that has a history this year of doing exactly what they did yesterday. So I went 1-3 because I also break one of Teddy's rules yesterday, and I'm talking too long, I know, but I'm going to keep going because I know it bothers all you, and I'm going to do it anyway. And that is that it was a perfect spot to bet a bad baseball team yesterday. You got a talented pitcher who can strike out. Are you
talking baseball on the NBA show?
Well, it's an example.
No, Tony. If you're going to talk, No. If Steve's not cutting you off, I'm cutting you off.
No, I was just I'll give him 15 seconds.
I'm sorry.
Show the comparison to the NBA, and then I'm going to bring up the Wizards.
Yeah,
He's just buying time before I bring up the Wizards score.
I thought Steve was the host. I made a huge mistake. I'm in the wrong link here. Send me the correct link, please.
No. I want the analogy here because I'm just triple checking to make sure the Wizards really won out right before I bring it up. Okay.
So hold it. Oh, it's a dream. Wake me up. No, the analogy is that here it is. They get a 4-0 lead. They lose 7-4. Played much better for, again, most of the game. But there's a reason why I picked that situation. I thought it was right, and it wasn't right. And let's thank Teddy for reminding me several times today that I should just shut up, not nod my head back and forth and listen. I'm done.
And because of that, we lost Rob Vino. He literally got up and left, Teddy. He's gone. He's gone right now. Tony, you broke the record. We're less than 5 minutes into the show, and you've already made Rob Vino leave. Ski left at 1 minute.
It's obvious that you haven't been to a bar with me and when I'm chasing girls because they leave a lot quicker than that.
I mean, Ski left before Tony even started talking. That's called foreshadowing. Rob caught on quickly and left while you were talking. Rob Vino, I'll throw it to you. By the way, the Wizards did win outright today. So Teddy won his Wizards win a game bet against Tony. That's why Tony was another government analogy, a political analogy for you, Teddy. That was called filibustering.
Hell of a 24 hours.
We're trying to get rid of it now in Congress. So I think we need to get rid of it here on the show. Rob, I'll throw it to you. What do you think overall on Wednesday, Rob? Anything jump out at you?
Yeah, another political analogy in a congressional hearing. When you don't want to use your 5 minutes, you can give them to somebody else. So I'll give mine to Tony. Let's hear him talk.
Yeah, what was the term they used for that? That's not a take it back, but anyway.
Foolish.
So Rob, did you have another 2-0 sweep? I did not. So I wanted to see if you could keep that momentum going.
I did not. I had 2-1, 3-1 overall because I had a baseball winner, but
shame on you.
The loss, Tony, I suffered with you because the loss was Miami -3.
Wow.
Looked good for a long, long time, and then didn't look good at the end. Mike Muscala, Bucknell, Brad.
Mike Muscala.
Yeah, Bucknell came and bit us in the ass, Tone. That's what happens sometimes. It got into the deep reserves, right, guys? It got into the deep reserves, and Miami had built a huge, huge lead heading into the fourth quarter. I think they're plus 18 heading into the fourth, and you think that the reserves can't possibly kill you because they're playing the other team's reserves. But it didn't matter. OKC's reserves are that much better. So it took a potential 4-0 down to 3-1. We'll take it. The other two that were good, got a little bit lucky with the Denver total up and over. They put together a big, big, big scoring second half, those two teams, because it didn't look that great at halftime, but it did get there. And the Sixers Toronto, I mentioned it on the show that I was close to getting there, and I still might. And I did get there with Philly Toronto over the total, and that was fairly easy.
And we got a lot of games here to touch on today, guys. We have two that have started, one that's finished, one that's in action, then 4 to go. So we'll kind of move quickly. But I have to touch on the game that's final for several reasons. I mean, first of all, we had an in-show wager, but Tony, the Wizards actually went off as a 2-point favorite. Yeah. And when we were last on the show yesterday, they opened as an 11-point dog at some spots, quickly 10, 10.5. And then it was off the board. And a lot of books didn't even post until this morning, and they reopened Celtics -3. And they went off as a 2-point favorite. Teddy, I'll throw it to you first. You got your win there, and that's the only game they covered other than that Sixers cover earlier. But, yeah, they opened as high as +11 and went off at -2.
No, I mean, so sometimes the numbers you see on one of the odd screens isn't real. There was nobody ever hung an 11 on Boston yesterday.
No, I'm saying bookmaker opened at +11. So
did you bet +11? Did you see a +11?
No, but I'm checking the arc. I mean, I didn't see it at the time we were doing the show.
I saw it on the screen. I never saw. There was nobody that I heard that actually got that way.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm looking at the archive.
Such a bad line that you know that it wasn't real. Sometimes you see numbers on a screen and they're not real.
Yeah, but Teddy, I looked for hours after the show yesterday. There were 10, 10.5s out there, correct? So I mean, I
didn't see any of them.
Oh, you didn't? I never went to the actual book.
I saw on the screen there were.
I did too.
Yeah, but they weren't real. They weren't real bettable.
Why do you think that would happen?
The screen, because sometimes the screen does that. I have to tell you, like the nuance of what this like. When you see the screen full, all the books have a number. That's a real line.
Sure.
When you see the screen and there's 1 or 2 books that have a number, most of the time that's not a real line.
Yeah, I mean, I saw at least 6 or 7. Yeah, and I know what you're saying. I mean, I saw 6 or 7 books with 10, 10.5 most of the evening, but I didn't physically go in and log in and check those. So, yeah, I don't know for sure.
No one would have had that number. It was all out last night. They would have been pounded. Everyone knew the Celtics were sitting their top 6 guys. It was announced early yesterday. So sometimes you see numbers on a screen, but they're not actual bettable numbers.
Well, I know this morning.
We're talking about a 3 today. I didn't see any 3s anywhere on that.
I saw Pinnacle open -3 a few hours ago. So, I mean, but yeah, regardless, the Wizards went off as a favorite, the worst team in the bubble. So you actually had an edge going into that, Teddy. Who would have thought?
Yeah, there was that was a 3. That was the Wiz laying 3 at Penny. I'm not seeing any penny 3s. So
I'm seeing the Celtics. I'm seeing the Celtics open 2.5 at Pinnacle. They went off at +2.5. But I saw some other books at 3, but 2.5, 3. I mean, same ballpark.
Sure, but as soon as that line opened, it got popped. I mean, it didn't last 30 seconds. Everyone knew that the Wizards were going to win.
Correct, but the point is, it's just amazingly how bad that number was. And I mean, it turned out.
But it wasn't a real number.
Well,
it was a powering number for if Boston was.
No. I'm talking about the 2.5 or 3. That still moved 5 points today. Is what I'm saying. It went from three to the other 3, or 3 to the other 2. But yeah, anyway, I mean that game's final. The Wizards are done. They're heading home as of now. They were probably heading home 2 weeks ago. Technically, now they're literally heading home. We'll see. By the way, guys, we do have one game in progress. And And we touched on this one yesterday, but the Lakers, do they want to go in with some good current form? And Ski said, I would look at them in the first half. I'm going to pop Ski in here, actually, as we talk about this one. Ski, I'm going to bring you in. You mentioned yesterday if the Lakers do care about this game, you thought this would be the one where they maybe show up in the first half more than the second half. And that is definitely what's happened here, as they were up by 10 points at the end of the first quarter. Then they got outscored by 20 in the second quarter, and they've been outscored by 15 in the third. So they were up by 10 after one, and they've been outscored by 35 since in the last two quarters. Ski, any thoughts on that Sacramento Laker game, maybe in-game or going forward here?
That's beautiful sound.
Yeah, he's there. Now you're unmuted. Go. Yeah.
There we go. Oh, sorry, guys. But I'm good on in-game. Minus 21 right now. I'm solid on that. But if you were looking at the injury reports earlier, you saw that Anthony Davis and Kuz are out, and LeBron was only going to play at the beginning of the game, and Danny Green wasn't going to play after halftime. So I think it'll be like this the rest of the day.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if the Lakers, carry that momentum from the first quarter into the postseason, because it's ugly right now. They're down by 25 late third quarter. They went off as a 3.5-point favorite in that one. Guys, we got 5 games here, so we'll kind of move quickly on these today to get them all in. First couple go here at 4 Eastern. We'll go down here. The first one on the board is rotation order release is Milwaukee, Memphis. We have a time change actually in the Dallas Phoenix game, I believe. So we'll look at Milwaukee, Memphis first. Teddy, I'll start with you. Memphis 3.5-point favorite right now over the Bucks. The Bucks, of course, the 1 seed. They've really had nothing to play for quite a while now.
No, nothing to play for, and they played like they have nothing to play for. Today for Milwaukee, no Giannis, no George Hill, no Ilyasova, no Wesley Matthews, although they're likely to have both DiVincenzo and Eric Bledsoe in the lineup. But this game isn't about Milwaukee. This game is about Memphis, and whether Memphis, with the rough bubble that they've had, is capable of putting together one good performance to make the playoffs. If Memphis loses today, they're going to go from a 3.5 game lead for the 8 seed to not making the playoffs at all. Because I have to think at least 2 of the 3 teams that are in the must wins, whether it's Phoenix, Portland, or who am I spacing on?
San Antonio?
Yes. Thank you. How could I forget the Spurs? That 2 of those 3 are gonna find a way to win. So Memphis has to win this game. Valanciunas, quote, "It's do or death for us. We've got to do something different. We've got to do whatever it takes to win the game, so it's on us now." This is interesting from Taylor Jenkins, I thought. What motivates us is that 1-6 record. That's not good enough for us. We've got a chance against the best team in the league on Thursday, whatever we can throw at them. We've got to throw it all on the line and see what happens after that. John Morant, I feel like every game we've played as the underdog. So I feel our next game will be no different. We've been attacking every game. I certainly wouldn't bet against any of the majority of the must-win teams today. Memphis is certainly reasonably priced against a Milwaukee team that hasn't played well and hasn't shown a whole lot of we're going to get our act together before the playoffs start, much like the Lakers in their game today. So it'd be Grizzlies or Pats for me.
Yeah, and Tony, I mean, we'd see a similar situation like we've seen in this LA Laker game that I touched on. Lakers are up by 10 after the first quarter, and they've been outscored. They're down by 24, so they've been outscored by 34 since. The Bucks, though, are coming off a win in Game 7, so they did win their last game. I don't know if that matters or not, but I guess the bottom line is, do you think the Grizzlies starters are better than the Bucks second team for the most part?
Well, the Bucks are pretty deep.
Yeah.
But as Teddy said something interesting. He said, what this game is all about is Memphis. And he's right. What this game's all about is what Coach Taylor and Coach Bud decided they were going to do in this game, because they're buddies. And so Milwaukee didn't have to win, and they both were assistants in Atlanta. I said, I'm one of those that wholeheartedly believe that they would never admit it, and they may not have spoken it in English language, but this is a game that I think you have to be on Memphis or you don't play it personally. And a lot of it has to do with, if you know something that I don't, please call me.
Tony, I like that angle, by the way, and I'll transition to college football here just to get Teddy worked up. But it's an angle I used to use back in the '90s when Paterno's assistants he'd play his old assistants. Guys, remember those angles, Teddy?
Yeah.
He never wanted to run the score up against those guys, and it worked well for So there is something to that. I think that's an interesting take on it, Rob. I think that makes a lot of sense. I mean, for me, once again, I agree, it's Memphis or pass on this one. What do you think, Rob?
Yeah, I'm just sick of Memphis Grizzly quotes, guys. I've four games in a row of the same quote. We're not worried about our playoff spot. We're still learning. You're losing and learning. That team has been a disaster. 1-6. They lose today. They're as good as the Wizards in the bubble. 1-7. I don't trust them as far as I could throw them, guys. Teddy, you read off the injury report, and I have the same injury report, but does anybody know about Chris Middleton as well? And these guys might not get a lot of minutes, but if Milwaukee gets off to a lead in this game and leaves it to their reserves, covering 3.5, I mean, Budenholzer might not want Taylor Jenkins to be eliminated by him, but it doesn't mean he has to lose by 4 either. They could lose at the last second. They could lose a lot of ways. And like I say, I'm just sick of Memphis and these stupid quotes about how they're trying to get their act together. They're going to try their way right out of the bubble here today. I wouldn't be surprised at all.
Teddy, what are you seeing on that injury front? Anything?
So with terms of Middleton, he's not listed at all. And it's worth noting, the other night, Middleton came out early third quarter, and I followed the Bucks beat writer on Twitter, and he's like, I don't expect to see him back in the game again. And then he came back in for the stretch run of the fourth quarter. So I do think Middleton will play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and mid-major Matt Joseph, the coach who does baseball with us on the weekends, is saying Middleton's listed as rest, at least on one report, I guess. But it's kind of like the odd screen, right? You never know exactly what you're getting with somebody.
Those guys, they're not on any injury report. That's the thing, Steve. Like Chris Middleton didn't show up on any injury report. The most recent NBA official one he doesn't show up on. So I was just asking if Teddy had any further, since 2 East till now 3:15 East, if he had anything further on that. Because if he plays, I less trust Memphis in this game.
Yeah, and you bring up a good point, though, Rob. I mean, Memphis has been semi-must-win situations the whole bubble, and they've gone 1-6. So it's not like they can just flip a switch all of a sudden. Ski, what do you see in this game? We've got Memphis about a 3.5-point favorite right now over the Bucks. The total's 231.
I kind of agree more with Rob, and I'm not sure. I think who said it? I think it would maybe have been Teddy, but somebody said that the Bucks have not looked good in the bubble. Well, looking at the games that have been played so far, offensive rating, they've been better than the Grizzlies. The defense for the Grizzlies has been slightly better, but they've been better rebounding as well. So they've been playing better than the Grizzlies, and the Grizzlies supposed to have something to play for. They've been the ones who are supposed to have been playing good. So I don't trust the Grizzlies. I've been out on them. I'm not backing them here. If I'm playing anything, I'm taking the points with Milwaukee.
Yeah, and we talked about it with the Wizards and the Bucks the other day. I mean, the Bucks ended up playing a few more guys, but we said there's a good – well, actually, and we said they were a 6.5-point favorite, assuming the backups were playing against the Wizards starters. So, I mean, Milwaukee does have a deep team, and the Grizzlies starters have been nothing special so far. They've really switched up a lot of times today, guys. If you look down in schedule order, the first game of the rotations, the late game, and the games in the middle were the early games. But the other 4 o'clock game, which now goes earlier, was supposed to be a night game, but it's now an afternoon game, is Dallas-Phoenix. And right now the Suns are about a 6.5-point. Actually, they were a 6.5-point favorite, early 7-point favorite. Now it's 9. So the money's coming on Phoenix. Are now a 9-point favorite. The total has gone up quite a bit. I saw it in the low 230s. It's now about 239. Teddy, Phoenix, big favorite and a big over here against Dallas. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I've got a free play up right now at both SportsMemo and WagerTalk.com on this game. And I made a case and I made a wager on Dallas plus the points against Phoenix. So you can certainly read the full analysis there if you'd like to. The bullet points include all the pressures on Phoenix today. Okay. When's the last time anyone on the Suns played a big game, a pressure-packed, a must-win game? I know they have to win it. They have to win it by margin. From all indications, KP's not going to play for Dallas, but the Mavs likely to have the rest of their bodies, and I think Dallas comes to play for the full 48. I like Dallas plus the points before I lead with the Suns, who have a big betting bandwagon right now, and it shows in this point spread.
And Tony Finn, you could have gotten better than even money on the sweep bet here when Phoenix was down. What was it, by 14 or 17 the other day when we were doing it in show, and they came back to win. They're now 7-0 straight up. Are the Phoenix Suns, at least the odds are saying they will be the only team to sweep all 8 games here in the bubble. Do you think they do it?
Well, I would say yes. I believe they will do it for several reasons. If I'm right, and you guys can chime in on this as well, and that is this game has gone from a touchdown to almost 2 possessions for this Dallas Cowboys team. Are they playing? Is Luka? Is Trey? Are these guys going to have a light workload, or is Dallas going to do? Are they going to try, guys? Really, this comes down to Dallas doesn't have a whole lot of reasons, and the Suns had to play. Now, the Suns covered. Did they not cover the number in the last game? Yes, they covered it by double digits. Here's the questions. Didn't they cover, right? They went.
Yeah, they won by like 20-some points, and they were down by double digits when we were doing the show.
If there is a light load by Luka, Trey, in that backcourt, then look for the Phoenix. If you guys are doing fantasy or any props, look for a big day from Rubio, and especially Rubio, because we all know. What the stud's going to get for Phoenix. Rubio might be the key to the cover on here, but I don't know enough to play this game, but it's sure intriguing to me, guys.
Yeah, and by the way, they actually played Philly their last game. The big comeback I was talking about, of course, was on Monday against Oklahoma City. They snuck in a game Tuesday against the Sixers, who are invisible to all of us. We don't acknowledge the Sixers here on this show. That's why I'd forgotten about that game. But Phoenix, by the way, not only 7-0 straight up, they're 7-0 against the spread. Dallas, meanwhile, is 2-5 against the spread. So buyer beware here. There's no question you're paying a premium. As you said, Tony, to use a football analogy, as we're crossing all sports today, touchdown to more than the extra point in the 2-point conversion. Now it's from 7 to 9. Rob Vino, this is obviously a hefty price for the Suns, although it would be surprising if they didn't at least win the game straight up.
Yeah, I think, according to my power rating, Steve, it's 11 points worth of premium on the Phoenix Suns here. I mean, as much as I've raised Phoenix in the bubble, power rating wise, Dallas still comes up a 2-point favorite everybody in the game. Okay, so we'll take Kristaps out. I don't know. If you think he's worth a couple, then it's down to a pick. I think the difference between a team like Dallas and maybe a team like Boston, who rested everybody today. But for Dallas, you've got a bunch of middle-of-the-road average players, aside from Luka and Kristaps. I don't see Tim Hardaway Jr. playing soft here. I don't see Maxi Kleber playing soft here, or not care, in other words. I know Kristaps Porzingis came out with a quote, we're looking ahead to the Clippers series, but that dude's on the bench, so he can look ahead as much as he wants. I think that the guys on the floor, and I tell you what, I've never seen Luka slow down in any game. The only time he'll slow down is when Carlisle takes him out. I can't. Phoenix will probably win, Steve. I think you're right, but I can't trust them to cover 9 points. I just think that line's gotten way out of control. And to me, unlike a bunch of other teams that may lay down, I just don't know that these Dallas players, and Seth Curry's back today. He's been off for a while. Look for Seth Curry to try and get his shot back. I'd have to be with Teddy on that free play. I would have to be with Dallas here plus the points.
Yeah, like I said earlier, Phoenix 7-0 against the spread, Dallas 2-5. We had that same angle with the Wizards. We knew we were going to start getting some point spread value, although, as we said, the Wizards went off as a favorite today. But they still covered and still won by 6 as a 2-point favorite. Mid-major Matt asking about Kleber. We've got word asking,
he's in.
Can the Mavs move up? I wanted to quickly let him know they cannot. They're 3 games back in the loss column, and they're tied in the win column, so they're locked into the 7th seed. Go ahead, Teddy.
Kleber probable for tonight.
Nice. Kleber probable. Ski, what are your thoughts on this game as we'll wrap up this afternoon game here? Once again, Phoenix a hefty favorite over the Mavericks.
Yeah, I think I'm in line with the guys. It's just, I know they're the hell yes Phoenix Suns, but 10 points to win by, I can't do it. Dallas still has professional players over there, so I would have to take the 10 points with Dallas.
Yeah, and by the way, Dallas's losses, they're 3-4 straight up, 2-5 against the spread. They've only lost once by more than 4 points in all 7 games. So they've been playing competitive basketball despite being just 2-5 against the spread. So I think we know where the line value is in this game, and we'll just see how it plays out. So I think there's kind of a consensus, at least on the panel, that this line is inflated. So viewers,
real quick too, Steve. Yeah. The other day, I think I was trying to make the point about Dallas being a good underdog, and Teddy broke it down for us point spread wise. As a small dog, they weren't that good, but a dog of this size,
5 or more,
they've been outstanding.
Yeah, in fact, that line moved from 5 to and that line moved from 5 to 3, closed at 2. They lost by 3.
Right.
It landed right around the numbers like we were joking about. But I think Teddy had said it was 5 or more. They were a pretty strong dog overall this year.
They only lost twice.
Yeah. So so this is the angle the other day. The line went from 5.5 down to 2, and they lost by 3. Now the line's going from 7 to 9.5. So it once again shows that the odds makers are forced to start inflating the line. It's the exact opposite movement by 2.5 points in this game. Guys, we'll touch on some of these night games. We'll keep it moving here. We got 3 more here. The 6:30 Eastern game on TNT, the national TV game, is the Hell Yes Phoenix San Antonio Spurs. So you got me saying Phoenix Suns here because it's been the Hell Yes Phoenix Suns the whole time. But the Spurs have been the surprise team. We first did the show a couple weeks ago. We mentioned they're going small ball. Popovich was more concerned about who the vice presidential selection was going to be. And I don't know what's going on, but they're playing hard. Spurs are -8 over the Jazz, who really don't have anything to play for. Totals around 232.5. Teddy, what do you think of this line?
So I can only take the Spurs in this game. And in many of these one team has something to play for, the other team not so much games, it's hard to make a case for the dog. And certainly that's the case here for Utah. It's hard for me to make a case for Utah. I know that Donovan Mitchell is supposed to play, but Conley's not going to be in today. Gobert's not going to be in today. The Jazz haven't played great basketball at any point here in the bubble. And in the fourth quarter of this game, I'm not sure that Utah is going to show up at all, and San Antonio will. But no bargains on the Spurs, no point spread bargains. It's not like the Spurs play defense. They don't. And, all the success that San Antonio has had here in the bubble, well, they figured it out a little bit, certainly compared to where they were, and they've in some ways been healthier than they've been. But it's the backcourt. The backcourt's playing well and creating opportunities. It's a method to win by. It's not I can only take the Spurs, but I'm not taking the Spurs.
Yeah, and Tony, these guys played on August 7th, and San Antonio went off, I believe it's like a 9-point favorite. They won by 8. Yeah. And you got to figure Utah had a little bit more to play for then, and they still lost by 8. Now the line is only -8. So although it looks like a big price, it's actually less than it was when these teams played a few weeks ago. Tony, what are your thoughts?
Well, this is a matter of whether you trust San Antonio to be the Mavericks equal. If Utah does what they did against Dallas and sit the start and what appears to be, in my opinion, Quinn Snyder giving his young players at the end of the bench some playing time and testing out and seeing what he has. If you think San Antonio can match what Dallas did, they raced what was I don't remember what it was a 20-point. What was it? They erased a pretty big lead, and I am with everyone so far. It would be Teddy, and that would be while I would lean to San Antonio in this game being able to produce because I believe in Popovich and these kids that are playing for him. They care about what he thinks about them, and they're going to give their all. Is Utah for Mr. Quinn Snyder? I pass on this game, but I would lean to San Antonio. I kind of like what they're doing.
Here's an interesting angle, Rob. As I mentioned earlier for Word's question in the chat room, the Jazz are locked into the 6th seed. The Mavericks can't catch them.
No.
But they're exactly a game behind both the 4 and 5 seed Rockets and Thunder. Now, I don't know how the tiebreakers are. I haven't gone that deep, but let's assume they could maybe move up to 4-5. That means they play the Lakers in the semis instead of the conference finals. If I'm Utah, I actually don't want to win this game, Rob. Do you think that factors in at all?
No, because I don't know what the difference is between playing the Lakers or the Clippers. If you get in the Laker bracket,
I agree with you.
If you get in the Clipper bracket, you're stuck both ways, right? It's not like the East where maybe you're trying to play around Milwaukee. Maybe I'm not even sure you're trying to play around Milwaukee in the East. This game, Steve, I wanted to get to the over. Is where I wanted to get, but it's just a little too high for me. Now, granted, they scored 230 in that matchup you just pointed out, right? I think it was a 119-111 game. And when Gobert's out of the game, you have to assume that San Antonio is going right to the rim because that's a ton of rim protection that you lose without Rudy Gobert in there. Mike Conley, whatever Mike Conley's worth. Some of the year he was worth nothing. Lately, he's been worth a little bit. But Utah as well has, they made a point about talking about their three-point shooting, how it was so miserable at the start of the bubble, and now the last 4 games they've shot better than 40% from 3 in every game. And I think it was Niang who said that the three-pointer is going to be a big part of their game going forward. So that led me kind of to the over. If I'd have gotten a hair bit better price, if I'd have saw 228.5 somewhere in that vicinity, I probably would have been over immediately. Now at 232.5, I'm just a little bit scared off it by the price. That's all.
Yeah, and that first meeting on August 7th that you referenced, 225.5 was the kind of the closing number. So this is 7 points higher. However, it was a fast-paced game. They got to 230, shot 51 and 42% each. So that's about average when you combine them. 28 turnovers, though, 180 shot attempts. So I would still lean towards the over. But as you said, that line value is kind of gone compared to the first game. Ski, what are your thoughts on this early evening game? It's a national TV game on TNT, so I'm sure a lot of the people in the chat room watching the show are going to be interested in this one between the Spurs and Utah Jazz.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but if Memphis wins and Phoenix wins, San Antonio has
they're a half a
play
game.
for,
All three teams, Grizzlies, Suns, and Spurs, are a half a game behind Portland, who's now the 8th seed. I'm not sure how all those tiebreakers work, though.
So right now, the only way I can look at it is San Antonio, but I wouldn't play it right now. I would wait and see maybe how these earlier games are going because I think San Antonio is going to pay attention. If they see Memphis losing, then they're going to go all out and win this game because they have a chance. I think they need 2 teams to lose out of the 4 teams that have a shot in order to be in. So I would wait and see. And if maybe I see both the teams running away with it, I might look towards maybe.
Yeah, I mean, to make another football reference, this is like week 17 in the NFL, guys, right? And what they did, I mentioned all those time changes. It just occurred to me why they did it. They're putting all those games together the best they could.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. They did the 2 other games at 4 Eastern, and they had to sneak us 6:30. And these are the 3 games that we just talked about that matter. So we got football, we got baseball, we got a little NBA today. What do you think, Teddy?
Well, just real quick, you guys are referencing that the Spurs were laying 8.5 and won by 8 against Utah last week. If you remember, Utah was opened a 2-point favorite and then announced that they were going to be sitting all of their starters. Yep. And the money poured in on San Antonio. That was the game where the Jazz had the starting lineup with Davis and Oni and Yang and Muda and Inglis. So it wasn't even anything resembling Utah in that game. And San Antonio still didn't cover this number. Today, at least, it's going to be Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah, and it went over the total, too, with all backups, as you're saying. I mean, got 230 points, very fast pace, as I said earlier. That's why it went over, and that's not a surprise. We see that often with that playground mentality, as I like to call it, when there's nothing on the line. Of course, the Spurs do have something to play for. Playoff intensity often leads to lower scoring games, but as Ski said, and Tony, confirmed, if they've been eliminated near game time or in the second half, I think that opens up to a playground game. So maybe we'll look at a second half overplay if that's the case. Or Tony, anything in game you might be looking for that angle?
I will say this: if you paid attention to San Antonio early in the year, before we went dark, you noticed that it's almost like Coach Pop threw his hands in the air and said, "This team isn't even capable of defending. They're just not capable. So we're going to change." And if you look at their pace factor from what they did the first 20 games to what they did after that, and then here in the bubble, you'll see a big difference.
Yeah,
so, he's going to win. He's going to play to his strength, and he obviously said this team can't defend. They can't defend like I want them to defend. So let's do something else.
Yeah, if they're eliminated in this game, I like the over more, especially the second half. If the games are still running when they start or whatnot. Although they'll pretty much know near tip off. Those 4:00 Eastern games should be over when this tips off at 6:30 Eastern. So an excellent point that you brought up, Ski, about this game might not matter in the next couple hours like it does right now. Guys, we got 2 late games on the card. The first game on the schedule was supposed to be an early game. Now it's one of the nightcaps. Is the Hell No Orlando Magic laying 4 against the Hell No New Orleans Pelicans. This game is so important that they moved it to prime time. But this is an interesting matchup here. The Pelicans, as definitely probably the biggest underachiever in the bubble. They were eliminated a couple games ago from the 8th seed contention. Orlando, the technical home team, has not played like it here. They're waiting to get out of the bubble and go to the playoffs, and we'll see if they show up then or not. But Teddy, how do you handicap this game? It's a tough one. Right now, Magic -4 over the Pelicans.
So every quote I found about New Orleans talking about the bubble was already in the past tense. Alvin Gentry. I thought that they played with great effort. I thought everyone that went in there had their moments and did a good job.
Yeah.
Drew Holiday. It was adventurous for sure. All in all, I feel like we ended up being in a position to make the playoffs, which is one of our goals. I wouldn't anticipate New Orleans showing in any way, shape, or form. Ingram sitting tonight, Zion sitting tonight, Holiday sitting tonight. So the question comes, can you lay 4 with Orlando? And that really is, New Orleans, there's no way I can take New Orleans tonight. Do you want to lay 4 with Orlando? And Orlando's missing their top guys too. Aaron Gordon's not going to play. Evan Fournier's not going to play. Terrence Ross isn't going to play. That said, the end of New Orleans' bench isn't going to play any defense, and the end of Orlando's bench is going to play some defense.
Yeah.
Steve Clifford was not amused with the Magic after the other day. They had supposedly had a real good practice yesterday, but in a game where it's hard to make a case for the dog and you can be confident that the favorite's going to play some defense, maybe you can lay with Orlando.
Yeah, and Tony, any thoughts of the total here? 227.5, now 228.5. And by the way, the Magic opened around 2.5, 3. Now it's -4, as Teddy said. Pelicans, yeah, it seems to me like it'd be Orlando or pass on this one, Tony. What do you think?
It would seem to be. And I cannot, under any circumstances, maybe if Teddy would give me some of his money, I could play Orlando, but I'm just not going to do it. I wouldn't do that to Teddy. I wouldn't do that to my worst enemy.
You actually technically owe Teddy some money after today.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's my point.
Technically.
That's my point. No, I can't. I wish I could. I love finding something that's that I see as an edge or an advantage, and I don't see it here. Anyway, I just can't. Again, we're back to this trust factor that's pretty important for all of us. I don't trust anyone here.
Yeah, and as I've always said, they have to put a number on every game. We don't have to play every game, and that's where we find our edge long term as professional bettors and handicappers. Rob Vino, do you see an edge in this game between the Magic and Pelicans?
Yeah, I don't understand who the people are that came with over money in this game. 227.5 up to 228.5. Yeah, you may as well suit us 5 up and run us out there, and we'll play more defense than what one of these sides is going to play, and that's not even going to matter because what's remaining offensively. Listen, Orlando's been horrendous.
Yes,
on the offensive side of the floor. We pointed out the Jonathan Isaac injury 5 games ago that maybe they looked a little distraught the following game, but then Aaron Gordon went down, and subsequently everybody's gone down. Everybody's out of the lineup. Teddy's right. Steve Clifford wasn't happy. He said they put forth 0 effort in the first half the other day, and they played a little harder in the second half. If I had to play Steve, I'd probably look to the under because trying to make a case for either one of these sides is absolutely impossible. There's no justifiable case for either side here in this price range, just none. So maybe I would try under 228.5 and hope this game lands. Orlando's given up 109 or less in 3 of their last 4. New Orleans doesn't care. They got the fishing poles out. I don't know. Maybe under, but this is just an absolute nightmare of a game.
Yeah, obviously in a meaningless game, the under always scares you, because of that track meet, we don't care defensive mentality. But like you said, Orlando might not be capable of pushing it over. They've shot 42% or worse in 4 straight now, and 3 of those 4 have gone under. And as we talked about, the Pelicans haven't played hard yet, and they're 6-1 to the under. So it's not like that lack of effort has been leading to overs with New Orleans. They've been an under machine. Ski Prophet, any final thoughts on this one between the Pelicans and Magic?
Man, as much as I've talked, you guys probably know, these are I don't even know if I can say where my boys. I get nauseous when I hear Pelicans right now. I don't even want to talk about them. But there's no way I'm back in New Orleans. They're out on Alvin Gentry. Lonzo, they're out on him too. They said he looked like he didn't even care. So he probably won't be there next year. If I'm playing, I have to back Orlando. They've been better than the Pelicans on offense, defense, rebounding. I don't really care who's playing. I don't think the Pelicans care to play for their coach, so I'll back Orlando.
Yeah, in hindsight, when we do the show tomorrow, we might all be saying, boy, that was a pretty cheap price to play against a team we all knew did not care about being there, laying just 4. So we'll see if the Magic can do it or not. And as you said, they were your boys, right, Ski? At the past tense once again with New Orleans, as Teddy said. All right, guys, we have about 5 minutes left, so we'll touch on this last game. Just a reminder to everybody out there, WagerTalk.com, SportsMemo.com, one-stop shop. Get all of our best bets each and every day at WagerTalk.com. And some fantastic values there right now. And Tony Finn, I believe you're the NBA best bet as a value play today for just $11 at WagerTalk.
I am.
Yeah, it's a great value. That's usually a $25 or $40 play. Is it a 5%er?
It's not.
Oh, okay.
It's not because I didn't find anything worth 5% on the board today. Just lucky to be a 3%er. No, I'm kidding, guys. I love this play, and it was a gift. It was a nice honor to be the value meal play value meal of the day, whatever I am, and I'm in. And it happens to be. I'll just go ahead and spill it out. It happens to be on this contest, and I think there's some edges here in this contest that I won't go into, but.
You talking about Portland, Brooklyn?
Yeah, Portland, Brooklyn.
Okay, that's good. I'll let you start with it then. Yeah, Portland right now is about a 9.5-point favorite over the Nets.
Right.
Don't give away the value play, but give us some brief thoughts.
I won't. I'll just say this: the one thing that's going to happen in this game, regardless, is that when this game goes off. Correct me if I'm mistaken, you guys. The one thing that's going to happen is by halftime, a lot of things will be revealed on what Portland really has to do. Am I right? Am I correct? Just nod your head, everybody, like this. Yes, Tony, you're correct. At what time? I'm assuming it looks like my math is that by halftime, Portland will say, all we have to do is win. Really, we may not even have to win. They want to win because they want to just assure themselves as that number 8. But it may not be where they have to. They may not feel the same sense of urgency in the fourth quarter. It is all dependent on what happens in the other games. Am I right?
Yeah, Ski, I'll throw it to you because you mentioned this earlier about, we got the 2 4:00 Eastern games, and then, of course, the Spurs Jazz play at 6:30 Eastern. This game, Portland-Brooklyn, is at 9 Eastern. So by the end of the first quarter, that Portland game, or rather the San Antonio-Utah game should be over. For the last 3 quarters, Portland will kind of know. Ski, any thoughts on this one, or would you kind of take a wait-and-see approach?
I agree completely, but at the same time, I think Portland is playing such great basketball right now, and they're just a team that they want to show everybody what they can do. So I think they come out extremely strong. I agree with what Tony Finn said. If I'm playing Portland and looking at Portland, I would look first quarter or first half. But you have to remember also, C.J. McCollum, fracture in his back. He doesn't want to go all out tonight. All they have to do, he didn't even have to win, honestly, for them. He didn't have to play for them to win. So you may not see too much of C.J. McCollum if he does go. I think Portland can escape with a slight victory or a large victory, but I would take Portland first quarter or first half if I'm playing.
Yeah, and Rob, I'll throw it over to you. I mean, Brooklyn, of course, locked into the 7 seed. They're 6.5 behind the 6. They're 3.5 ahead of the 8. So, I mean, they're locked in, but they've been playing hard nonetheless. If you look at the results recently, they've won and covered 4 of their last 5 straight up in ATS. I'm sorry, Portland's 4-1, but so is Brooklyn, who's 5-1 straight up in ATS. So these have been 2 very hot teams, Rob. One of them has to win again tonight, I guess.
Yeah, I was a little surprised when I saw the line as high as it is. I understand why it's as high as it is, but to me, go through every game Portland's played in the bubble, guys. No game has been decided by more than 10 points. They play all these close games. I think 5 of their 7 have been decided by 5 or less. Even when they win, they barely win. And I was carrying the torch when we were talking about coaches inside this bubble the other day. I was carrying the torch for Jacques Vaughn. What he's done with this team has been amazing. He's going to get the 3 of his biggest guys back tonight, right? Karis LeVert, Jared Allen, and who am I missing here? Joe Harris. Joe Harris will be back. And they just play with heart every single game. To me, it's a big number. I don't doubt Portland's the better team. I don't doubt the backcourt's unstoppable. But Portland, something that was picked up the other night, I think maybe it was Jeff Van Gundy, whoever the analyst was. Boy, Portland fouls a lot. They give up a lot of points on the foul line because they're just a step behind on defense constantly. Yeah. And, if you're giving a visitor, a team plus 10, a chance to be at the free throw line quite a bit during the night, I would take my chances here with Brooklyn, guys. To Ski's point about the injury to McCollum, to Tony's point about perhaps Portland not needing to go all out in the second half if things are sewn up and they're already in, then Brooklyn becomes a side. But I think Brooklyn's a side without any of that. I just think that they play hard and Portland plays too many close games. Even when they race off to a big lead, like they did against Philly in the first quarter, even with, Embiid goes out in the first 5 minutes, right, and Portland builds that big lead. That lead went away to the Philly backups, and Portland had to fight tooth and nail to win that game by 3 points. So for me, it would probably be Brooklyn.
And Teddy, in the final minute here, I'll let you kind of sum up this game. Any thoughts here? Blazers 9.5-point favorite over the Nets. Totals 236.5.
So I did not expect to find a 5%er on the back end of the NBA. I have a 5%er up on this game.
Oh, but you do.
Oh, wow.
Over WagerTalk.com.
Yeah.
It is, in my mind, the single best bet of the entire bubble.
Awesome.
And hopefully it plays out the way that I think it will. But if you want to see quotes, I got plenty of quotes in the write-up. But yeah, that's the single strongest play I've had so far here in the bubble.
Well, that's perfect because I was going to go around real quick here in the last 30 seconds and see what you guys have. So once again, Teddy covers a strong 5% best bet in the nightcap. Tony Finn, the $11 value special. He's got other best bets up there as well at WagerTalk.com. Teddy's also at SportsMemo.com. Ski, what do you got going for Thursday night at WagerTalk?
Right now, I have one WNBA play up, and I might add another. And I'm looking at
once again, it shows the value of having all these cappers in your arsenal because Ski does an excellent job at the WNBA. We don't touch it as much on the show here, but he's had a fantastic season, hitting around 70% last I heard. Rob Vino, what do you got for Thursday?
Yeah, I'm in with just one NBA play here tonight, Steve. Big card, but just short on selections for me here. Too many ifs, too many questions. So, but I do have one that I liked. Like I said yesterday, we've reduced these the last couple of days, all to 3%ers. They continue to win. So let's get this one across the line as well.
Sounds good. And a reminder that there are a lot of free plays at Wager Talk and Sports Memo as well. I've got another free baseball play. I think I've hit like 5 of my last 6. We don't even keep track of the free plays. And I'm kicking myself because they keep winning. But I've got another free baseball best bet up there right now for all viewers. I've also got a baseball and basketball best bet tonight. 75% of the NBA bubble so far, my basketball best bets. It's been a nice run. You guys here on the show have helped me have a nice run because there's great information here. Once again, wagertalk.com for free plays and best bets, sportsmemo.com as well. Hey, guys, we'll wrap it up here. We'll have some more fun tomorrow, some maybe in-show wagers when we have a little extra time. It's a short card tomorrow on Friday. But viewers, once again, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific, NBA tip-off here. And we'll be back once again tomorrow on Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. Thanks, guys. Great show. Good luck tonight.